And I hope to debunk some of the myths that people think about feminists today and show that it is a very important cause, not just globally, but in the US and in the West. Thank you.
All right, Kylie, thank you very much for your opening statement. Andrew, if you'd like to give yours now.
Yeah, just a second. Let me back up here. There's one thing I wanted to address right in my opening. I've been going through Kylie's videos, and she knows so much which is not so. This is a big bait and switch. This happens often. I think I pointed this out to the Whatever podcast many times, especially when it comes to sociology and psychology, how often they are wrong. And here's how they're wrong most often. What they do is they take studies which are recently published, they point to those data sets and say, because this is right now the most current data set we have, it's true, and then operate as though those things are in reality true when they're not. Kinsey says, for instance, on gender quotas, according to, and she cites this, and many feminists cite this.
My name is, are you talking about?
The Kinsey study.
Oh, the Kinsey study.
Yeah, the Kinsey study, which you cite, right? And most feminists cite the Kinsey study, has been debunked for years. I don't know why feminists
study is
continue.
this?
Hang on.
Wait,
it's my opening statement.
You'll have a chance to cross-examine him. Just allow him
So
to
let me walk you through this. Earlier this week, journalist Christopher Brunette flagged a paper in a March 2024 issue of Econ Journal Watch, a biannual publication edited by George Mason economist Daniel Klein, that publishes articles, links, responses to other economist errors. The paper, written by accounting professor Jeremiah Green of Texas A&M and John R.M. Hand of the University of North Carolina, addressed the first of three McKinsey four-installment series of diversity studies. Green and Hand sought to test the replicability of McKinsey's findings. Guess what they found, guys? Could another set of researchers using the same data come to the same conclusions? Since McKinsey refused to turn over its numbers, Green and Hand had to reverse engineer the firm's 2015, 18, and 20 data sets. The results were startling. Green and Hand couldn't replicate the results of McKinsey's first three studies, which monitored the profitability of executive demographics of an undisclosed group of S&P 500 firms claiming to have found a positive correlation between diverse leadership and the firm's performance. We do not find a statistical significant positive correlation between McKinsey's measures of the racial ethnic diversity of executive terms of firms as measured in December 2019, Green and Hand reported, and either the likelihood of financial outperformance in 15-19. So, to give you a quick summary, the study seems to show its most likely correlation and not causation, meaning companies were already doing very financially well, and they have the luxury to mess around with diversity quotas and initiatives. In addition, the data from the 2024 paper was unable to replicate any of the older McKinsey studies, any of them. That should tell you something. So that's a very recent data set, right? Why don't any of the psychologists ever go with the recent data set? Well, the reason they don't go with it is because it doesn't affirm their nonsensical worldviews. That's why they don't go with them, ever. You'll find this very common in sociology and in psychology, which suffer from the replication crisis. Somewhere around 60% of their findings cannot be replicated, are not to be trusted. Psychology is the study of the mind. The scientific views of psychology are only done through data collection, but it has to be interpreted. This is a major, major problem. So many feminists will tell you so many studies, and luckily I have all of the ones to refute all of my opponent's studies today. Because what happens is they have a biased worldview and they want the data set to correlate with the worldview rather than wanting to tell you what the actual truth is. The truth is that a bunch of S&P 500 companies who are very rich were already doing really well. And for the purposes of publicity, they decided that they were going to start doing a bunch of DEI hires and ethnic hires and this type of thing. And they decided that the correlation, they made the correlation causation error. That's it. You'll find this over and over again, I'm sure, as we go through this debate, as we go through the numbers, especially when it comes to the abuse of women, especially when it comes to just how useful women are. We talk about domesticated labor. What a joke. You believe that women should be paid some type of domestic wage. However, it's skilled labor in the home, which keeps the home running. It's always going to be paid way more than domestic labor because it's more worthwhile than domestic labor. Simple. So with that, I'll finish my opening statement. I can't wait to dive right into this.
Okay. So, Kylie, it sounded like you maybe had some pushback you wanted to give on something Andrew said there?
Yeah, so I very briefly referenced the McKinsey study, and McKinsey & Company's Women in the Workplace study, by the way, is what he's referring to. But it's actually, if you go and look it up, it's generally considered accurate and comprehensive in its findings. So I have quite literally no idea what my opponent is talking about, as well as the fact that this is a red herring fallacy of just, oh, this is wrong and my opponent is wrong for the following reasons.
How's that a red herring?
Because you're not actually acknowledging any of the information that I said.
I refuted the information.
I didn't even hardly talk about that.
I have refutations to your video.
Okay.
I have your video right here, and you start by saying the largest comprehensive study, the Kinsey study.
Which one are you talking about?
I'll play it for you. Give me a second here.
Okay, well, I think we should stick to what we're talking about today. And I just,
Well, we're talking about all of this today. So
okay. Well, I would like you to be less hostile to me, first of all, because I think we should just have a general discussion.
Stop whining. We're doing a debate.
Stop.
So
I'm not going to give you the reaction that I know you're looking for.
Yeah. So women are better leaders than most. You
Oh,
agree?
yes. I was looking at that video. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of the ones that.
And you cite which study?
Oh, yeah, the one that I'm talking about now. But I didn't reference that in my opening at all. So I think the people in the audience, if they had any sort of common sense following along, they'd be like, what is he talking about? Kylie didn't mention that.
Yeah,
Which I didn't.
But the thing is like this is a current core part of your worldview and belief, and you make propaganda videos about it, even though it's completely uninformed.
That women are better leaders. I think that is a subjective opinion. None of the statistics and facts that I gave previously are objective opinions. Like the fact that women didn't have the right to vote until 1920. Women couldn't open a bank account in the United States until 1974.
When did men get the right to vote?
Okay, I know this is exactly what you were talking about. This is what you're known for, is like getting people on a technicality that we don't historically know. But the answer to that is no. The answer to that
is no, the answer is that's no.
No, the answer to that is the fact that in 1920 everyone was given the right to vote, but there were still barriers to vote for people of color.
When did men get the right to vote?
The right to vote was guaranteed to all people in 1920, according to the 19th Amendment.
Before 1920, were all men allowed to vote?
No.
Okay, great.
They weren't.
And then even when men's
because
suffrage
of white
was passed,
supremacy and because our system was not founded equally.
Are you aware that men only got any rights to vote about a decade, roughly, before women?
That is not true. Men have been making... The founding fathers were all men, so I have no idea what you're talking
What does that
about.
have to do with the right to vote?
The right to vote was historically withheld from men of color. It was a
It was also withheld from
Listen to
the
me.
general population.
Do not cut me off. Do not cut me off. I'm in the middle of speaking.
I don't care if you're in the middle of speaking. You're in the middle of a debate.
The right to vote
You don't have your TikTok mute button, sweetheart?
I will not be speaking anymore until you have a conversation with him.
Well, look, if we can, for both people, if we can allow each other to finish, even if you want to jump in, just let the other person finish speaking. If somebody's going on a monologue and they're filibustering, I'll try to get them to wrap up, but just if they're making a point, just try to let them finish.
No, I did not go to school for 4 years and build a platform to be talked to like this, so I will be walking away from the microphone right now, and I would encourage you to get your guest under control. I'm going to take 2 minutes, so you can ask him questions if you'd like, and I will be right back.
Because you run the show?
I just won't be back. And we already
I don't give a shit. What do I care? I'm here to have a debate, not listen to your whining. Do you want to have a debate or not?
All right, I'm not going to be talked to like this.
Well,
so.
do you want to just take a little 2-minute breather? You want to take a 2-minute breather?
This is feminism? You're the strong woman? You're the strong woman?